Welcome to What Brought You Here Today, an interview-style mental health podcast that focuses on real experiences and how we navigate and move through them. The guests on this show provide personal and professional insight at times and come from all walks of life. Not all of the guests work in the mental health field, and they've all chosen to be brave and vulnerable while sharing parts of their story with you. Please keep your own mental health and well-being in mind while listening. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to What Brought You Here Today. I am your host, Ryan, and today I am joined by Jeana. She is the owner of Luminate Therapy here in Minnesota. I put out an ask in a Facebook group, and I believe Jeana responded to that ask to be interviewed and to be a guest here. Again, thank you for being here and taking time out of your Tuesday morning. It's only 9 o'clock. It's early, so I appreciate it. Why don't you go ahead and give the listeners a little bit of an intro and who you are?
Yeah, I'm Jeana Wescott. Like Ryan said, I own Illuminate Therapy here in Golden Valley, just west of the Minneapolis city. And I have a practice that really focuses on relationships and primarily work with couples, but also individuals who are having relationship concerns.
How long have you been doing this work?
Yes, I am going on almost 10 years. I'm getting close to 10 years. So I've been doing it for a while. My practice has been open for about a year and a half.
Okay.
I've been
That's
solo that long. Yeah, it's super
that's
exciting.
exciting.
It is very exciting.
Past the 1-year hurdle.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
How did you get into couples work? Let's just jump in. How
Yeah.
did you land here?
Yeah, when I was in grad school, I knew that's what I really wanted to focus on was couples work and any systemic work where there's two or more people in the room. And so that was really my passion area. I've always been fascinated just by how people cycle together, how they communicate together, how they conflict together. And that's always been an interest of how people change those cycles. And so being in couples work is what I'm passionate about.
Yeah. I think this podcast hasn't really focused a lot. Like, we haven't had a lot of conversations about couples work, so I'm really excited today to talk
Oh,
about it. I don't personally work with couples. I primarily focus on kids and parents. So I guess maybe there's some couples work tied into parenting work, right?
yeah.
But I'm curious, what brings a couple into your office?
Mhm. I feel like what brings people in are a few things. One is fighting, frequent fights, can't resolve them, can't get out of those fighting cycles. Another one would be really feeling disconnected, feeling like the roommates. I hear that a lot. We feel like roommates. We feel like we don't have time together. We're growing apart is one. And then I also specialize in affairs. So that crisis point of someone having infidelity or an affair brings them right into the office because that's a really hard one to get past for couples by themselves.
Is it usually driven by one person in the partnership, or is it both? Does it depend?
Yeah, it depends. I've had a combination of everything where both people want to come in and maybe just recognize together they want to improve their relationship and get back to where they were in the beginning when they first met. And then I have it driven by maybe one person who is either the person that is getting exhausted by the relationship or the person who maybe feels like they've done some fault in the relationship and has been put in that responsibility to find a couples therapist. So it's
Okay.
really all of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at your social media, your Instagram
Yeah.
here, and it says, I help couples create a healthy relationship.
Mhm.
From the clinical perspective, how do you define a healthy relationship?
Yeah, I think a healthy relationship is a combination of several things. I think that couples are rooted in the foundation of their friendship and their connection, that they feel known by their partner, that they have a healthy cycle of communication and conflict. I think in healthy relationships, people can still feel connected while they're in conflict. And so I see that often that people are able to have a dialogue about their problems rather than frequent fights that escalate and get nowhere in their relationship. And then they also have shared goals and values with each other and know what that future looks like for themselves.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Have you seen, you've been doing this work a long time.
Yeah.
Have you seen since post COVID, what have been some of the changes that you've seen coming?
Yeah, I think the obvious in that is that couples were home together for a very long time, and then people's work environments have changed where they both might have went to an office, and now they're both maybe still working at home or doing a hybrid model or something like that. And that's also changed the dynamic of their relationship a little bit because they might be spending more time together. They may have to navigate how to do their relationship if both of them are working at home. That might make their roles and responsibilities look a little bit different at
Mm.
home also. And so I see that as the biggest shift and change for
Yeah.
couples.
hmm Yeah. I remember working at home with my husband during the pandemic, and we
Mhm.
also had a newborn. Let's just throw another thing into the mix. Thankfully, we've both gone back. We're outside of working outside of the home. But
Yeah.
what do you think? Maybe what are just some easy things that you can offer the listeners of if you are working at home with your partner, what's a simple thing you can do to help keep your relationship healthy?
Yeah, I think the biggest one working with couples with that dynamic is probably some boundaries of what that looks like if one person's working at home. You can't always attune or have some of those bids for connection when you're in a meeting or supposed to be going into a meeting or have to turn your mind towards your computer in those moments. And so just communicating about that, what's needed, what are the expectations while one or both people are working at home. Space even is probably something to talk about if there's not a division of offices at home. That tends to come up a little bit on the personal space or professional space at home. And how does the couple manage that boundary of stepping into space and wanting to have conversation uh,
Okay.
during a work day type thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say boundaries is the big one in communication.
Do you see a lot of people maybe establishing the boundaries, but also having a hard time respecting them because work is always at home?
A little bit, and I think not even intentionally, but just naturally, your partner's right there and wanting to ask a question about something after work, or normally maybe someone would send a text and answer it when they had a minute to pick up the phone or something. I think those small little moments are what people bring up the most in sessions that really complicate the workday when they're
Yeah.
working out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boundaries are huge. Boundaries are
Yeah.
everywhere right now.
They are. They
We're all
are. Right?
talking about boundaries.
We're all talking about it. Yeah, it's coming out of this post-pandemic world and everything's shifted and changed, and we have to reestablish all those boundaries at home and work and all,
Yeah.
relationships everywhere. Yeah.
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 I love the conversation of boundaries, though. I think it's so important. I think that we're also just learning that it's okay to have boundaries
Absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
ourselves primarily, but for also the people around us, that boundaries are healthy.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to you about the Gottman Method.
Yes. Yes.
Can I'm not going to introduce it because I will do a terrible job. What is the Gottman Method?
Yeah, the Gottman Method is founded by John and Julie Gottman, and it's based on almost 50 years of their research on couples and finding out what makes relationships last and what kind of leads to divorce and breakup of relationships. And so they're really rooted in that research and have found this method to make a healthy relationship and a relationship that's really more satisfying for both people, and it's based on their relationship sound house. So it is based on the foundation of love maps, which is knowing your partner, turning towards each other, bidding for connection often. Conflict, of course, is in there, learning how to fight better, learning how to have conflict and a better dialogue, and then creating a shared meaning together of what your lives look like, being on similar pages with that. Yeah.
So if someone steps foot in your office, they're coming in for couples therapy, you just process through the Gottman Method.
Mhm. Yeah, when a couple comes in wanting to use the Gottman method, we start with the full Gottman assessment,
Okay.
which is, yeah, very thorough and gives a really good picture of their challenge areas and some growth areas on that sound house that they can benefit from. And then, yeah, we really go from there with the goals that they want to bring in. And then some of those goals from the Gottman Institute and interventions are implemented into their therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I learned about Gottman very briefly in my graduate program. Just these are like the idols of couples therapy. But I think what I always hear the most about is people talking about the four horsemen.
Yes.
And I don't know, I'm not sure why that is. I think maybe because it's just like our brain automatically sometimes wants to go to the negative, and the four horsemen are like, this is where this comes from. But what are your thoughts on that part of the method?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we talk about it so much because it's there right in front of us. There's four of them, and they have created the antidotes to the four horsemen. If you're using those in your relationship, there's a method to and do that or learn how to do it differently, which I think is really great. Yeah, the four horsemen are criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. And I think we talk about them so much too because they show up in relationships.
Yeah.
Like we can all go to a place of we maybe get more defensive or critical or one of those four horsemen show up. And I feel like every couple that comes into therapy has at least one of those going on, if not all of them.
Mhm.
And they're the predictors of if you keep doing those things in your relationship, you're going to lead to breakup, a divorce, or just a really unhappy relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you I would probably admit that I have some stonewalling tendencies in my own relationship. I think because I also need more time to process things.
Absolutely.
My stonewall is it's not just like this intentional thing because I'm like defensive or I'm feeling contempt. I just genuinely need to process more.
Absolutely.
That's a thing, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's so much a thing. It's so common. Yeah, because sometimes I find some people are processors, some people need to talk about it right now and get through it, and couples are not the same. Usually at time that they need to slow things down or to process.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about the love map?
Yeah. The love map is I love the love map exercises. So, love map is getting to know partner more. I think we are in relationships and we think we could possibly know everything and anything about our partner. And sometimes that changes over time as we grow and develop as people. And it's really just an opportunity to ask questions and learn more about who your partner is, what they like, what they enjoy. It's getting to know their inner world a little bit more.
Yeah. I think I
Yeah.
want to do this with I'm just like Googled love map
Yeah.
exercise, and I was like, I think I want to do this with my husband now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna link this in the show notes. But
Yeah.
some of my listeners have been following me on social media for a while and know that I'm like on my second marriage, and my
Mhm.
husband is as well. And we've only been together for 5 years. But I'm looking at these questions. I'm like, I don't know if I actually know the answers to these.
Yeah, they seem so simple, but there's so much to each question that they have that they'll love
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
what medical problems does your partner worry about? I don't know if there's any outside of like
yeah.
normal ones. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so where could, if let's say someone just found this online, like I'm doing right now and did this at
Yep.
home, what would be like a next step for them?
Yeah, I think the cool thing I'll just plug in too is the Gottmans have a free app. It's called the Gottman Card Deck. And so
Oh,
the card decks that they have are actually real life card decks that you can actually purchase and go through them as cards. But the card decks are actually on an app called I think it's called the Gottman Card
yeah.
Deck. And so those love map questions are also in that app along with some other questions,
Oh,
which is really cool and very generous that they have done that for
and
people
it's a
to.
free app.
Yeah, it's a free app. It's free. Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool. Yes. Yes. And I'm sure if people Googled, they could find those online too. It seems like you can
Yeah.
find with some of the Gottman stuff. But yeah, if people are going through those, I tell my couples to make some intentional time to sit down and go through those cards. Some people, they're getting in the car to drive up north or drive somewhere for the holidays or something. And that's a great time to plug in and ask
Mhm.
each other those questions. And then I think, yeah, it's open dialogue. It's having a conversation and getting to know each other more is really the opportunity with those love map questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds great. What is the most challenging aspect of your work?
Yeah, I think there's probably so many areas of challenges, probably just being a therapist. And then my work with couples is, yeah, I think, and probably with individuals too, is like when people just get stuck, when they're just stuck in whatever they're going through and it's a hard place to get out of. And so I think that's hard and challenging to sit with and help guide people in places that, yeah, it just doesn't feel good to be in that place. I really empathize with that. And I think as a couples therapist, it's hard when people don't make it or they decide that they want to separate or divorce or part in their relationship. And I always respect that and appreciate the work that people have done. And so it's hard to watch that happen when people work really hard to make it work and decide they need to part ways. So it's always hard.
Do you help with the uncoupling process?
I do. I do a little bit depending on if that's a good fit and what they're looking for in that. I always talk people have children. It's always
Mhm.
good to talk about like how do you navigate that process just in the beginning to talk to your kids about this is what we're doing or this is the decisions that we have made. Yeah. And then just help them go to the next steps
Yeah.
from there. Yeah. Yeah. Depending on what they're looking for. Yeah.
Does it ever morph into a family dynamic where you would bring the children in, or do you more just guide them on how to do that outside of the office?
Yeah, I used to do that a little bit, and so
Okay.
much n I don't really bring any I don't have too many family sessions in therapy, but I'm really just guiding them based on what we know is best practice to some extent in their situation, and really trying to get them to do that together
Yeah.
too, so there's no divide or children feeling like they have to choose sides or those
Yeah.
types of things. And so really just helping them decide what's best for their family to navigate that and what that looks like. And because I know couples, that's where their minds go to first is the kids. What are we going to do about that? What about the kids and how they're going to do
Wow.
and all of this? Yeah. Yeah.
This is maybe a question that I've asked like everyone on here. Like, how do you navigate your own imposter syndrome with this?
Uh,
Like, I work a lot with kids and parents, and I am also a mom, and I feel
mhm.
this on every day.
Yep. 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 I think that's fair. We all
Just
feel
like
it.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't have it figured out, but here's what you can try. No.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I feel that often. I think as therapists, we're always like battling that imposter syndrome for
Mhm.
sure. For me, I think transparency sometimes and that even in sessions saying, I've done that before, or just like the four horsemen, I know I can be defensive. That's usually the one that comes out most often in me. And so just recognizing that I'm also human. I'm also a person that's connected in my relationships and goes through the exact same things that other people are going through to most of the extent. And really just giving myself some grace and some permission that I'm not going to have it all figured out as a therapist all the time.
Mhm.
And that as a therapist, I'm also growing and learning. And that's always an ongoing process too. So I
Yeah.
have to remind myself of that often, that there's always something to read, there's always something to research, there's always something to be like, "What do I do with that new thing that someone brought in that I haven't had before?" And so I have to go and figure that out or consult like we do to navigate that imposter syndrome because it happens all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned like all the reading and things always coming out. And I was talking with a colleague, and they're like, I just want to read a book for fun. And I was like, then read a book for fun. Or it's just, but there's all these books that I need to read. And I was like, the book, they will be there. Plus
Yes.
more will be there. It's never ending. We will never keep up with all this stuff that's always coming out. Everybody, PSA, read the book for fun.
Read the book for fun. Go have fun. You don't have to read everything right now today. It's not
No,
gonna work that way. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
read the book for fun. The self improvement, the learning book, the educational book will be there when you're done with that fun book.
Absolutely. I personally have to pull myself out of that often because I'm like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
gotta read this book and I gotta finish this and figure it out." And I'm like, "No, it's just yeah, I have to let some of that go, that it's okay to not have all the answers and,
Yeah.
um, the research and things we need right in front of us."
Yeah. And I think there's a point of burnout with it. And
There is.
was, I have three half finished educational books because I
Yep.
was like, I can't do it. I'm tired. I don't want to read them. I want to read for fun. And that's what I did. And I finally finished Drama Free a year later.
Love that.
I was like, I can't remember what the first half was about, but it's done.
Done. I close the book. Put it on the shelf again.
Yep, it's back up there. And that's where
Yep.
it's going to live.
Yep. It is so funny that since becoming a therapist, I have found that I have multiple open books
Why
at
do
a
we do
time.
this?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's like some hunger for information or answers or needing to, solve something maybe sometimes. But yeah, it's just a frequent common thing that I've noticed for myself too. If there's no front to back or of enjoyment, it's 3 or 4 books on like couples or boundaries or something at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like the book in my office, the Audible in my car, the book at home, some other,
Yep.
some random one on my Kindle. Who knows? Just
Yep. Yep.
books everywhere,
Yep.
but all very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
you think they could line up, but no.
Nope, they're never the same topic. They're like 3 or 4 topics at a time. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's wild. But I think you're right. And I'm part of a therapist book club, and we all talk about this. Like we're just reading all of these books all the time.
I'm
But it's okay to take a break and to read something that's actually enjoyable.
yes, yes,
And you're really
yes.
not going to miss out on anything by doing, because
No,
something new is going to come out, something's going to change,
yeah,
and you'll come back to it eventually.
yeah. There's new books coming out all the time. Even I think next week there are a couple books that are coming out at the end of the month, and I'm like, oh, so excited. But I'm like, when am I going to read those books? No,
No, not
no,
going to happen.
no.
Not yet,
Nope.
anyway. You buy them and put them on the shelf, right? And you're like, one day I'll get to that.
One day, one day I'll read. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
What do you tell people who are managing their relationship well?
Yeah.
We're communicating well, or the family dynamic is doing well. What benefits would they get from couples counseling?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because there is something I love about a couple that is doing really well and just want to get a few skills and come in. And usually those couples have some short term therapy goals. And it's nice to work with those couples because I think there's an important shift of couples therapy can be proactive. Couples have a tendency to come in way too late or when things are really far gone. And couples can come back from that. But I think when couples start to feel distant or feel like something's not quite right or there's a little tweak here or there, I think it's really nice that they come in and yeah, just do that work that they need to
Yeah.
do. I think the benefits of that is that they can come in and learn a few new skills on the situation that they're wanting to come in with and have that kind of fine tuned and walk away from that with bettering their relationship.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. I think that's great. Do you help maybe a couple or parents who are on different pages get on the same page with parenting or raising their kids in general?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, parenting comes up all the time for people because I see that as either people being able to talk about it or they're really fighting really hard about how to parent. And so I think that coming up in couples is so common. And what I see, I don't know if this is what it's like in the world, but as in couples therapy, I see people really being on opposite spectrums with that.
Mhm. Yeah.
One person was raised one way and the other person was raised an entirely different way. And you bring those two people together and have children. And then it's, yeah, it's who has the right answer and who doesn't have the right answer on how to do things. Yeah,
It's a lot, and I think it's overwhelming it can be overwhelming as the therapist, but also as the parents of, are we ever going to get on the same page when we were raised so differently? And how do we raise our kids the way that we both want to?
yes,
And I
yes,
think there's some sense of, I was raised like the way my parents raised me was good. I turned out good. So that's what we're going to do.
yes, yes. And then other partner has a completely different opinion on that.
Yeah.
So common. So,
Yeah. And I think even in the work I do with parents and kids, that's a big theme.
yeah,
Even just how they're interacting with their kids is a big part of it too, of just the difference there. And obviously we're different people and the kids are
Yeah.
individuals and different people, but just the way that consequences are handled or discipline and
Yeah,
that I think is like the toughest piece to navigate.
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. I think in that for couples too, it's really having a good conversation about asking more questions, being more curious about why. Like, why are some of those things a thing for you, right? Why is that discipline area what you want to do? Where does that come from? Yeah, getting on the same page and is really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Gottmans have a parenting approach?
They do. They do. And yeah, they're really getting into I know there's bringing baby home, so there's new
Okay.
parents, things for
Mhm.
new parents. And then I think they're doing a lot of like emotion coaching, really understanding
Okay.
the emotional pieces of
Yeah.
parenting. And so they have really great resources on parenting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that I'm just looking at the website again. That's like newer for them. I think
it
like
is.
their pillar is the couples work.
Yeah, their
Um,
pillars, then the couples, and then I think bringing baby home came eventually, and then more recently, yeah, some of that emotions work and
yeah.
parenting work, yeah, which is great because
Yeah.
it's really good from a couples therapy aspect, but also just for parents to navigate.
Yeah. Are you helping people identify and maybe work through their attachment styles?
Yeah, yeah,
I love
absolutely.
attachment styles.
I do too. I love attachment. Yeah, I have some training in emotionally focused therapy, which is
Okay.
attachment based too. And so I love both. I do lead with Gottman, but I do bring in some attachment stuff when I see that's what's happening in the room where it's fitting with like anxious attachment or avoidant attachment or that dynamic, pursuer withdrawer dynamic, bringing that into the room when that's helpful too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love attachment work. Yeah.
What do you notice is like the light bulb moment of, and maybe this is a really big question.
Yeah.
What is like the moment where some of your clients are like, oh, this makes sense. I get this now. They can see
Yeah.
the outsider's perspective kind of changes things, but what do
Mhm.
you think those moments are?
Yeah, I think when it comes to couples work, and even when I work with some people who are single too and noticing their own attachment style, but it's really that cycle dynamic of this is what I'll use anxious attachment if that's someone, right? Here's all the things that happen behaviorally when attachment is triggered, the pursuer, the falling like room to room during conflict or something like that, and the their partner's kind of running away. And the aha moment is we do that. So we have that cycle. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And you can see it in the room of, oh, that's what that is. That's why I do what I do. And that's why my
Mhm.
partner does what they do. And now we can understand it and have a little more empathy for what's really going on. And it might be more about my partner's attachment style than like me personally.
Yeah.
Uh, is always that moment. Yeah.
Do you do any kind of like early childhood processing or maybe adolescence processing in relation to attachment style? Or do you maybe not in the couple setting or maybe in an individual setting? Like, where is this rooted in?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do. I do think that question comes up naturally and in some of the Gottman work of there's a story there usually for people of like, where is this rooted? Is there a story that's related to how you're feeling or why this topic or situation is so important to you? And sometimes there's reason to bring that up and even just dive a little bit deeper because sometimes a partner has not heard that story about their childhood before, for example, or just a situation of something really hard or even some trauma perspective that now they feel safe talking about that, or now it's connected and they understand why that event was really important.
Mhm.
And so having that, like listening from the other partner and support in that is really powerful
Yeah.
in that story. So yeah, that happens for sure.
Yeah. Processing past trauma is a lot. It's a heavy lift.
It
It's a
is.
lot for everyone in the room. Um,
Mhm.
and I just think like how many couples go through a lot of their relationship not knowing about some of
Yeah.
the early childhood things. And I don't think it's ever because I think the questions just don't get asked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's not an intentional withholding of the information or the experience. It's just, well, nobody's asked.
Yeah, no one's asked, or it doesn't feel
Right.
important, or it's in the some of those things are kept in the past, and yeah, and then they come out when they're connected
Mhm.
to something that's happening, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, then the couple starts talking about it.
We're trained a lot in graduate school and like I think even trainings in general to maintain the neutrality and keep our biases separate. How do you manage that in a couples setting?
Mhm. Yeah, it can be really hard and something sometimes I have to check myself on, when I'm in this space. And when I feel that way, I usually sometimes like to just name that a little bit of what's going on, or I'll be really open with people about leaning over here a little bit because this is why, this is what I'm seeing. And I really try to bring that background to letting the couple talk or process whatever the situation is to get back to neutrality, because I want them to learn to have that dialogue too, versus them talking to me about it or giving them the direction on that necessarily.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's hard to navigate that, but and I think it's usually for couples too. I think it gets obvious if we're not being neutral too. And so I always tell clients when I first meet them that they can always speak to me if they're feeling that way, or if they're starting to notice that, or if they're curious why I'm leaning in with one partner a little bit more on something, that's something that we can talk about
Okay.
session to keep that neutrality going. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's
I
hard.
think,
Really
I
hard.
mean, no, I think that's one of the harder parts of
Hmm.
just dealing with parents and family dynamics. And you're fortunate enough to get both sides of the story in a sense. A lot of us get one side here and there from either party, right? But yeah, I think, like you said, like naming it is really important and checking yourself, I think, is also really important. And that takes a lot of time to even notice that you're having that reaction.
Yeah, I have to be really self-aware too of if
Yeah.
I'm bringing in my own agenda, or if I'm starting to feel that pull myself. I have to ask myself some questions even about that. Why am I feeling that way? Or what
Yeah.
pulling me towards one partner versus the other? And so, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really hard to navigate that, and common and human to some extent, I think too.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Exactly.
I get pulled in some of those things. Yeah.
What is something that you want people to know, either about your professional work or like couples work in general? What's like your shout from the rooftop? This is
Yeah.
what you should know.
I think some of it is probably breaking the stigma a little bit on couples therapy, that coming to couples therapy is means things are over, or it's things are doomed, or our relationships really in a bad place. And that's not where couples have to be anymore. Or even if things are feeling really bad and they have a desire to work on their relationship, it's okay to come to therapy, okay to get help. It doesn't have to be this negative bad thing that about your family knows about. It's just normalizing is really helpful.
Yeah.
And so removing that stigma and maybe some shame too. I think it's sometimes in that for couples of we're failing, and maybe things
Yeah.
that that's why they're getting help. But there is hope in that too. There are ways and there are antidotes and skills to build, and working on those is really courageous and helpful to your relationship and to your family. So I
Mhm.
think that's probably the biggest shout, that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to come into couples therapy and do the work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the hardest step, right? Stepping into the office,
Yeah.
ad- admitting that we have to do some work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The hardest part.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Last question that's not tied to any of this.
Okay.
If you could do one thing with your life and nobody knew what you did, so you
Hmm.
just got to go on living your life and nobody knew what you did, what would you do?
That's a hard question.
Answers have been all over the board. Someone said they'd go live on an island. People
Yeah.
have, yeah, there's no parameters, no restrictions. If no one knew what
Yes.
you did, what would you do?
Yeah, if I could just do what I wanted to do and just took life, I think Yeah, I would just travel and travel. That's what I would do. I would just like a camper van and drive to every national park and every hiking trail and
Yeah.
fly like all the cool places and be an adventure seeker. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See the world.
Yeah. See the
Yeah.
world. Yeah.
Do you have a
Yeah.
favorite national park?
I do. Yosemite is
Okay.
that's my favorite park. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not been to that one yet.
Yeah. I've been there a couple of times. It's my
Okay.
favorite. Yeah. It's my favorite. My goal is to go to every national park
Okay.
at some point in life. So I try to get to one a year aside from the pandemic. But yeah,
Right.
Yosemite is special
Yeah.
for a lot of reasons. Yeah, it's my
How many parks do you have left then?
Oh, I have quite a few left.
Okay.
I have quite a few left. Yeah, I've been to many, but still have
Okay.
quite the bucket list left to go. Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
fun goal. Do you have like that cool map that you check them off on?
Yes. Yeah. I have the map with the stickers that you get to.
Yes. Love it.
Yes. I love that.
It's great.
The gold star of national parks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? If they want to check you out on social media or try to schedule with you, where can they find you?
Yeah. My social media is at Luminate Therapy MN, and my website is luminathetherapymn.com. And I'm located in Golden Valley, just off 394, close to West End in St. Louis Park. So that's where
Wonderful.
people can find me.
Yeah, great. And I'll link everything in the show notes too. So again, I want to thank you for being here and taking time out of your day. This is a great conversation, a fun conversation. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to share more about couples therapy and Gottman and your practice too out to the community. So again,
Yeah.
thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to learn more or follow either of us on social media, you can find more information in the show notes. Thanks for your support and listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.